Speculation is mounting that the Duke and Duchess of Montecito, Sussex, Harry and Meghan are considering a return to the UK. Could we really be about to see a reversal of Megxit? Here to talk about this and all things royal is Matt Wilkinson, royal editor of The Sun newspaper. Now, welcome, Matt. Now, I've already put my cards on the table about this. My belief is that Meghan will never set foot in this country again. This story emanates from the suggestion, I don't know how true, that Harry has applied to rent an apartment in Kensington Palace, and speculation is that this will mean that the gruesome twosome, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, will return to Britain. I'm not buying it. Are you?
I think what the situation is that Harry is homeless in the UK, OK? The King's taken his... I thought
you were going to say on a general basis. No, he's got quite a mansion in California.
No,
so go on.
Their life is in California.
Yes.
I've been out there recently and everything's focused on California. But what Harry needs is somewhere just to lay his head when he's over. And you're right, I cannot see Meghan Markle coming back. I don't think she feels welcome. I don't think she is welcome. The family won't make her welcome. I don't think the public want her here. What he has to apply, OK, it's a really bizarre situation, you know, that his father is the king, they have all these properties, have all these empty castles and stuff like that. He has to apply 30 days in advance to ask, can he stay in a royal property? Last time, the king said, you can come join me at Balmoral, but he couldn't do it because of travel arrangements.
And he ended up in a hotel, didn't he?
He ended up in a hotel. Now, he's obsessed with security, OK? We know this for the court cases that he's running. He's obsessed with security. So he is, and I believe it to be true, he would like to rent somewhere in Kensington Palace or somewhere. It may be St James's Palace, because there's actually rooms that he can stay there. The issue with Kensington Palace is William's often there, OK? So he's fell out with his brother when they live next door to each other in Kensington Palace, but William's staff are there, William and Kate and the kids often pop round there, so it's going to be difficult. If he did have permission to rent a place, it would likely be on the condition that they would have to keep the brothers apart. I know William spends a lot of time, obviously, in Windsor, but it's just got to that ridiculous situation. You've made the guy homeless. He wants to come over to... They have no commitments, so he doesn't have to come over for any big event. Their life is in California. He may pop back for a couple of charity events like he did earlier this year, but he just needs somewhere to lay his head, somewhere safe, where he feels safe, where his security guards can look after him, because he is obsessed with being protected. He just needs somewhere to lay his head. Now, I can see it happening, but I agree with you. I cannot see in a million years Meghan spending much time over here again.
I've got this idea of the grounds of Kensington Palace, you know, divided by a huge barbed wire fence so that the feuding brothers never meet. But it's interesting, isn't it, being a royal, that I don't know which hotel Harry ended up. It was only about 3 or 4 weeks ago when he came over to help present the awards at that children's charity event, just before the Invictus Games. Meghan, meanwhile, was over in Germany, wasn't she? Now, I just think I don't know what hotel he stayed at, but it would have been like the penthouse suite, fantastic accommodation, but he found that sort of beneath him, and he wants more than that. Because at first, I believe he asked if he could stay in Frogmore Cottage, and they said no. And then he said, how about Kensington Palace? And they said no. And then they told him, look, you can't just turn up on the Royal Palace doorsteps and say, give us a room, can I have a bed for the night? As you said, Matt, you have to apply 30 days in advance. Seems a bit strange to me, but that's the system, and he was told in no uncertain terms, yeah, you didn't obey the rules, therefore find yourself a hotel. I think it's probably a Premier Inn he stayed in, right? Yeah.
Well, it's not a normal family. Do you know what I mean? It's not like us. We could phone up our aunt and uncle or brother or sister and say, do you have a room for the night? It doesn't function that way. There are many people in the way as well. So the King and William and Harry do not speak. They do not communicate much, but there's loads of staff in between that are making decisions. Now, Charles, at that time, was in Balmoral, and it was actually a lovely gesture. He said it was the anniversary of the Queen's death, and he said, why don't you come up and stay here? And there is a lot of debate as to whether Harry should have accepted it or whether it was an offer that he was never going to be able to accept. But I think if the King says, come up and stay at Balmoral with me, then do it. But if he does get a place in London, it would be temporary, and I say it'd just be a brief place, and he'd have to stay away from the rest of his family. It's not like a huge family reunion where the royals are opening their arms and opening Windsor Castle for him to have the run of Castle to stay when he's over here.
Maybe he could just sort of buy himself a little terraced house in Mile End
Why not?
or something like that, the East End.
He's a grown-up with lots of money. Why can't he just go and buy himself a house?
That's a very good idea, very good thought. Now, this time last year, there was much speculation, you know, would Harry and Meghan join the royals for Christmas? That speculation continues this year, but I think we know the answer. It's extremely unlikely, isn't it?
Well, it's extremely unlikely. Last year was no chance because we had Netflix and we had the book just about to come out. What I can say is that although the family don't talk, I do understand that kind of behind the scenes with the teams, you know, in Montecito and the teams in London, there is more of a friendly... a
slight thawing of relations.
Yes, because the Sussexes are whinging less, they're moaning less. No, it's hugely damaging for the royal family.
Winding their necks in and long last.
And I think in London and in Buckingham Palace, they're kind of appreciating that they are making an effort to not dish the dirt too much and to actually kind of try and move on with their lives. But that Sarah Ferguson went for the first time in like 25 years. She spent Christmas Day at Sandringham last year.
And you know why?
Because Prince Philip wasn't there.
Prince Philip declared that he never wanted to be in the same room as Sarah Ferguson ever again. But after his sad passing, Sarah was welcomed back into the royal fold.
So never say never, but I can't see it happening this year. I mean, last year was the first one after the Queen's sad demise, obviously, so there was a huge amount of family up there this year. I think it will be exactly the same. Charles would love to see his grandchildren, remember? Yes. He doesn't see his grandchildren, you know, they're across the other side of the Atlantic, so I think Charles would happily see his grandchildren, but I can't imagine they'll arrive.
Yeah, the way I see it is that Meghan, she doesn't like the British don't like her, she doesn't like the royal family don't like her. She doesn't want to come here in a month of Sundays, does she?
She has no life here either, remember? Yeah. You know, she has no friends here, she's got no job, no members of the royal family apart from maybe Eugenie, that she gets on quite well because she's had friends for life, but she wouldn't feel welcome. She didn't give it long enough, did she? Let's be honest. You know, she wasn't here long enough to actually attempt to fall in love with the country. We did our best to welcome her. We really did on the first couple of years.
We loved her. We loved her.
Yeah.
But that didn't last long.